Hey guys, Chris Fix here, and today I'm going to show you how to super clean the wheels and tires on your vehicle. So that includes cleaning up all that built up brake dust, and also I'm going to show you how to clean those deep embedded stains that are in your wheel that could be difficult to remove. That way we could get this wheel looking brand new, and after it looks brand new, I'm going to show you how to coat it to protect it so the next time you clean the wheels, the brake dust comes right off. And finally, I'm also going to show you how to clean and protect the tire surface. That way, not only do your tires look brand new, but they are also protected so that they don't dry rot. Now in this case, these wheels are incredibly bad. You do not want your wheels to get built up like that because that could permanently damage the wheel's surface, and no amount of cleaning is going to fix that. You'd have to get the wheels redone. In this case, it's like that because I actually didn't clean the wheels for 2 years and over 20,000 miles specifically for this video. So I could show you guys, if we could clean this and make it look brand new, you'll have no problem cleaning your wheels and making your wheels look brand new. Another thing is I decided to pick this car to clean because this is a typical daily driver. It's a four-door sedan. It's used to go back and forth to school, back and forth to work, and sometimes used to go on vacation. And that's how the brake dust builds up. Now, although we're going to be using this car for most of the video, this process applies to pretty much any vehicle out there. So whether you have a high-end car with painted brake calipers, or a race car you take to the track, or just a boring daily driver, after watching this video, you'll be able to clean your wheels and make them go from this to this, or this to this, or this to this. And I think you get the idea. So to get those amazing results you just saw, there are 5 simple steps. The first step is to rinse down the wheels and tires to get any loose dirt off the surface. The second step is to use your cleaners and deep clean those wheels and tires. Then after that, the third step is to dry everything down so you have a nice and dry surface to work on. Then our fourth step is to remove any stains from the wheels. And then our fifth and final step is to protect both the wheels and tires so they stay looking great and they're easier to clean and maintain. And to complete those 5 steps, here's everything you're gonna need. So you're gonna need some running water. You could either use a hose like this or a pressure washer. Pressure washer definitely works better, but not everybody has one. So I'm gonna use a regular garden hose to show you guys you could get awesome results with just a hose. Then you're gonna need your cleaners. Now this is very important. Get a good wheel cleaner that works on all different types of wheels. This is safe on every single type of wheel. Chrome, aluminum, painted brake calipers. This won't damage any wheels at all, so you don't have to worry about it. Some wheel cleaners will damage certain types of wheels and stain them, and you just don't want to deal with that. So this is good. It also has iron decon in it, which is great. So this is the wheel cleaner I'll be using. Then we have our soapy water, which is just a little bit of dish soap and the rest warm water, and this is good because it's slightly basic and it cleans tires very well. And then we also have our bug and tar remover to remove the tar that's commonly found inside the barrel of the wheel. Now, as we're cleaning, we're going to be using brushes to agitate all that dirt and get that cleaner in there. And these work amazing for getting into those tight spots. If you've never used brushes before, pick up a set. Trust me, it's inexpensive and it gives you that extra clean. They just work absolutely amazing. So after everything's clean, we'll rinse it down and then we need to dry it. And to dry, we're using microfiber towels, and these are old towels. Don't use brand new towels. They're clean, but they're stained and old. Use your new towels for your paint work. Use your old recycled towels for your wheels. After everything's dry, then we'll remove all the stains on the wheels using clay bar and compound. I can't wait to show you that. It works perfect. And then finally, after everything's all clean, we'll add our protection layer, which for our wheels will be a ceramic detailing spray, and for our tires will be a tire gel. And this has UV protection and ozone protection so your tires don't dry rot. And then the last thing we need to do is get our safety glasses on. So these are all the tools and products you need to get the job done. I'll be sure to make it really simple for you and link all of them in the description so you can easily find them. And with that said, let's go get started. Alright, so the first step is to rinse down your wheels and tires to remove any loose dirt, debris, brake dust, stuff like that on the surface of the wheel. So when rinsing off the wheel and tire, just use whatever the highest pressure setting is on your garden hose and don't worry about making it look clean. The whole point is to wash away any loose dirt or brake dust so it's easier to clean in the next step and so the brake dust doesn't get airborne. That way you're not breathing it in as you work. Now you can see how a garden hose doesn't remove this caked on brake dust? Well, watch what a pressure washer could do. And what a difference. So if you have a pressure washer, definitely use the pressure washer to rinse this down. You'll get so much more brake dust off. But like I said, we're just going to be using a regular hose. That way I could show you guys we could still get awesome results. So we're done rinsing this down. Let's move on to the next step. Alright, so the next step is to use our cleaners and clean the wheel, but this is a super clean video, so we want to make sure we could clean the inside of the wheel, where the barrel is and behind the face of the wheel. So in order to do that, let's remove the wheel. So chalk off the rear tires, slide your jack under the lift point on the car, and jack the car up so the tire comes off the ground. Then you could slide a jack stand under the frame of the car like so, and carefully let the car down so the full weight of the car is on the jack stand. And finally, I like to pump the jack back up so it's slightly touching the lift point, and this is just a safety backup just in case the jack stand fails. And once the car is safely on jack stands, I always like to grab the car and give it a good shake to make sure it is nice and solid, and it is. We have the jack as a backup. We're good to go here, so let's remove the wheel. And I want to give you guys a real quick tip on how to remove these lug nuts without damaging the wheels by accident. And that is using lug nut sockets like this. So a regular socket is made of uncoated metal. If you go to put it on the lug, you could see that if we hit over here on the wheel, we could potentially damage the wheel because the metal is harder than this paint. So they have something called wheel sockets, and the whole point is the wheel socket has this plastic shield on it. That way it protects against hitting against the wheel. If you hit against the wheel, nothing happens. So we'll use these instead. That way if this hits the wheel by accident, we don't damage the wheel. Good, so now we can remove all the lug nuts using the lug nut socket. Then we could take the wheel off and move it to where we're gonna work. And one last thing we wanna do is make sure we remove the center cap from the wheel. That way we could clean inside of it. All you need to do is push from the back, and it pops right out like that. Alright, so now let's clean the wheel, and all you need is your wheel cleaner and your detailing brush. So spray the wheel cleaner on the whole wheel, and this cleaner has iron decon in it, so you're gonna notice it turn purple as it dissolves the iron particles embedded in the paint of the wheel. And this is really purple because there is a ton of buildup. So spray down the entire wheel and then spray the cleaner into your detailing brush to lubricate the brush. Now it's as simple as brushing down the entire wheel, and I like to start in the middle by the lug nut wells since it's a big flat surface, and then I like to brush around the rim of the wheel. And one spot many people miss is the tight gap between the rim and the tire. So get your brush and work that cleaner in there. It's very easy for brake dust to collect in here, and over time it starts damaging the paint on the wheel, so clean it out good. So work your way around the entire rim, and don't be afraid to brush down the tire as well to clean off any brake dust that might get deposited on it. Another spot that doesn't get cleaned well is over by the valve stem, because the valve stem gets in the way, and this is where the brush truly shines. So use the brush to agitate the caked on brake dust and work that cleaner in there. And if you need, switch to a smaller brush to get into the tight spots, like around the valve stem. So work that cleaner in there, and let's rinse it away. And that gives you a good idea of what to expect. Look at all that brake dust we removed. That was 2 years of brake dust buildup. You can see we do have some staining right there, but don't worry, we will remove that in the stain removal step. More importantly, you can see where most people miss around the valve stem, we got that nice and clean. That looks beautiful. Okay, so the rest of this cleaning step is simple. I like to use the larger brush to clean more area quickly, like on the face of the spoke, and then where the large brush doesn't fit, like in this tight area between the spokes, I switch over to the smaller brush, and that fits in here perfect. Now the nice thing about these brushes is they have a plastic base and a wooden handle, so they're soft and they won't damage the paint as you brush down your wheels. So now as you clean your wheels, you're gonna quickly see why I say use brushes and a good wheel cleaner. The 2-year-old caked up brake dust just melts away with a few swipes of the brush. And it's just so rewarding to see how clean it's gonna be. And so you guys don't get bored, let's speed up through this cleaning process and get the rest of the wheel done. This is a really easy job when you have the right tools and products, and just make sure you work that cleaner into every part of the wheel with the brush, and you're gonna get amazing results. And beautiful, we brushed down the entire wheel. Now it's very important that you don't let the cleaner dry on the wheel because it could stain the wheel and that wouldn't be good. So after brushing, I like to immediately rinse down the wheel so it doesn't dry, and you can see all that sudsy brake dust just melt off the wheel and wash away. And holy smokes, look at that difference already. And we're not even done cleaning yet. So another spot that people tend to forget about cleaning is inside the lug nut wells. This is a difficult spot to get to, and you can see how dark and dirty it is inside of there. So spray each of the wells down with a wheel cleaner, and then use your brush to get deep in the wells and clean out that brake dust. And you can see the brush fits in here perfect. And also don't forget to clean the center cap hole, and I'm using a toothbrush which fits in here nicely. Now let's rinse all that dirt away, and unfortunately these lug nut wells are not looking good at all. But don't worry, I have some tips and tricks in the stain removal step that'll make these look brand new. So one last thing to clean that a lot of people forget about are the lug nuts. You can see there's a lot of brake dust stuck to them, so just get your brush with some wheel cleaner and brush away that brake dust. After you brush it on all sides, then we can rinse it off. And look at how clean this lug nut shines compared to the dirty one. It's attention to the little details like this that's gonna make your wheels look super clean when you're done. So let's brush down all the lug nuts and then rinse them off, and now these are clean and good to go. Alright, so with our wheel cleaned, you can see there are definitely some stains in here. I'm gonna show you how to remove those, don't worry. The next thing we need to do is anytime you wanna clean your wheel, you also wanna clean your tire so that you could add your tire dressing. You don't wanna add tire dressing to a dirty tire. But when you clean your tire, you're gonna remove the protective coating. So you see how this tire has a slight brown tint to it, and most used tires have that brown tint? That's really not dirt. We just cleaned this off with some wheel cleaner and we scrubbed it down and then rinsed it off, yet it's still brown. The reason why tires get brown is because that's anti-ozonate that's built into the tire. And then anytime the tire moves and flexes, that anti-ozonate comes to the surface in a process called blooming. And that anti-ozonate has a brown tint to it. But it's very important that that's on there because it prevents the tire from dry rotting. It prevents UV rays and ozone from damaging your tire. And guess what? We're gonna clean it off. So that might not sound like a good idea, and it wouldn't be if you didn't replace that protectant with another protectant. So this is gonna make our tires look new and still protect them. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you clean your tires, you need to add a protectant. So to clean the sidewall of the tire, spray it down with some soapy water. And if you look closely, the sidewall of a tire isn't a smooth, flat rubber surface. It has designs, letters, and numbers which give it a lot of texture, which traps dirt. So we want to deep clean into the texture to get that dirt out. And while soft bristle brushes like this work great to spread the soapy water onto the tire surface, a nylon brush like this with stiff bristles works really well for getting deep into the textured surface and cleaning out all the dirt and anti-ozonate. So start with your soft bristle brush and spread the soapy water across the whole sidewall of the tire and get it nice and sudsy. And the pH of soapy water is slightly basic, which makes it really good for cleaning rubber, like your tire. So after you brush it down, let it soak and dissolve away the dirt for a minute. And a minute later, brush it down with that stiffer nylon brush and notice the white suds are turning brown from the dirt and anti-ozonate coming off. That's what you want to see. This will clean the tire really good so the dressing could bond directly to the tire's surface. And that'll help make it last longer and also prevent it from slinging off the tire when your wheels are spinning. So with the front of this wheel and tire cleaned, let's flip it over and do the back. Now, we don't need to clean the tire on this side because we can't see this, so just let that anti-ozonate stay on there and do its job. But we do want to clean the barrel, which is this part, which you can actually see there are stains from tar and also brake dust. And we want to clean the back of the spokes. I don't think these have ever been cleaned. Look at how dirty those are. That's crazy. So let's see what we could do back here. So use the wheel cleaner and spray down the barrel of the wheel as well as the spokes, and notice how quickly this turns purple. That's because when you hit the brakes, the iron from the brake rotor comes off and embeds itself onto the paint of the wheel. Now use your brush and agitate the dirt on the wheel and work that cleaner in there. And after you're done brushing it all down, you can rinse it all off, and you can see how much cleaner it's looking already. Now I can make a bet and say the back of these spokes have probably never been cleaned since the car was new, which is unfortunate because these will be really stained and probably permanently damaged. And honestly, that's a lot better than what I was expecting. Check out this before and after. So you can see how clean we got that one spoke, but this is the perfect example of permanent damage done by leaving brake dust on here. I get it, not everybody's gonna clean the back of their wheel, and how often are you actually gonna do this? But you can see that brake dust is embedded in there and then it corroded, and that's just not good. So this is a super clean video. I am gonna quickly for you guys, very long time for me, clean the back of all these spokes. So here's a before and after. Now let me show you how to remove the tar buildup, and you can see we have a bunch of tar right here. So spray it down with the bug and tar remover and work this in there with a stiff bristle brush. And the stiff bristles work better against the tar, which is usually stuck on the wheel pretty good. So take your time and really work that tar remover in there, and then when you're done, rinse it off, and you can see all the tar we removed. Here's a before and after. Alright, so that came out pretty good except for this spot right here. Unfortunately, that is bare metal, so I'm starting to think that might have been brake fluid from maybe a service at the dealer where the brake fluid was bled and some dripped on the wheel and just kind of pooled here, and then the brake dust and tar accumulated because brake fluid eats away paint, and there's no more paint there. Either way, it's cleaned up now, and this is looking a lot better. So if we take a zoomed in look at the barrel of the wheel, you can see we have some tar here, here, and here. We also have some tar up here, and then there's these little black specks. Those are all little tar specks that we could remove and make this wheel look that much better. So just get a brush with some tar remover on it and brush it into the tar spots. Then we could get in there with our microfiber towel and rub those tar spots to help lift it up off the wheel. Now these tar spots are on there pretty good, and they aren't coming up with our towel. But don't worry, I have a trick to make this easier. And that trick is to use a heat gun like this to heat up all the tar spots, and let me show you how amazing that works. So get your heat gun and carefully heat up the tar spots, and what this is gonna do, this is gonna soften that tar. It's gonna make it a lot easier to dissolve with the tar remover. Just be careful you don't heat up the wheel too much because you don't wanna damage the paint. You should be able to touch it no problem, it shouldn't be super hot. Good, let's brush in some tar remover, and already you can see it's coming off a lot easier. And then let's get our microfiber towel and rub this off, and don't be afraid to use that microfiber towel and really rub it in there to pull up that tar. And beautiful, look at that. It looks brand new. I mean, look at this before and after. So the inside of this wheel is looking way better, but there are a few spots that are stained, and don't worry, I will show you how to remove them in the stain removal step. But overall, this is looking a lot better than what we started with. Alright, so with the back of the wheel cleaned up, now we can flip it back over, give the face of the wheel one more rinse, and the front and back of the wheel is clean, so we're ready for our next step. So drying the wheel off is a simple but important step. It's important that we don't let any of the water or even the chemical air dry onto our wheel because it'll leave behind watermarks which stain the wheel. So use a clean, dry microfiber towel to dry the wheel down. And as you're drying, you might notice that you missed a spot of brake dust in the cleaning step, but don't worry, it should come right off with your drying towel like that. So wipe down the entire wheel to dry it, and at the same time, you're going to remove any dirt that you might have missed. Then flip the wheel over and repeat the process on the back side of the wheel as well. So with the wheel completely dry, just take a look at how awesome this wheel is coming out. It is looking absolutely amazing, and we're not done yet. You can still see we have some staining here, which is definitely an eyesore. We need to get rid of that. So let's move on to the next step. So to remove any leftover stains you have after you're done cleaning is pretty simple. And we have two ways of doing this. First, we have our clay bar, and then we have our compound. But we're gonna start out with our clay bar. And there's different types of clay bar. We have the least aggressive on this side, then we have our mild, and then we have our most aggressive on this side. You always wanna start out with the least aggressive, so let's start with this. So let's start by removing this stain right here. And you don't need this entire clay bar. Just pinch off a little piece like that. Now it's important to understand how clay bar works. This is a soft synthetic clay material. As you rub it against your paint, it's gonna pull out any contaminants embedded in that paintwork, and the contaminants are gonna embed into the clay. Now, anytime you use clay bar, you always wanna use a lubricant. You never wanna rub directly on a painted surface because you could mar your paint. Most clay bar kits come with a detailing spray like this, and that would work perfectly fine, but since we're working on the wheels, I'm gonna use my wheel cleaner as a lubricant, and it'll also help clean and remove that brake dust as we clay. So spray the stain with the wheel cleaner, then get your clay bar in there, and with medium pressure, work it back and forth. And if it's not coming off, just rub a little bit harder. Then get in there with a microfiber towel to clean it out, and check this out. That's what we started with, and here's the stain removed. Not bad. And if you take a look at the clay bar, you can see all those black specks in our clay bar. That's all the contaminants that we just took out of the paint and transferred into our clay bar. That's exactly what we want to see. And after you get all those contaminants in there, what you do is called kneading. You just knead this so that you get a nice, new, clean surface. You can see how it's turning white. Perfect. And now we could go and use this clay bar on the next stain over here without scratching the paint. So again, spray the stain with wheel cleaner so we can lubricate our clay. Then rub the clay back and forth to pull up the embedded contaminants. And it's pretty narrow in here, so you might have to get a little creative with how you use the clay. And then finally, wipe the area clean with your microfiber towel, and look at that. Here's a before and after. Okay, so we pulled out a ton of dirt and brake dust that was embedded in these wheels. I mean, look at that. So now the wheel face is stain-free and looking great. And while the spokes and face are looking great, look at these lug nut wells. They are super stained and look horrible. So let me show you how we're gonna get these clean. So our clay bar did a pretty good job, but that's pretty much all it's gonna be able to get out. So now let's move on to the compound, which hopefully will be able to get these nice and clean. Now, as you can tell, these lug nut wells are very stained. So stained that doing this by hand is just not efficient. It's gonna take forever. So to speed things up, if you have an electric rotary tool like this is gonna save you a ton of time and get you great results. Let me show you. So your rotary tool is gonna come with a kit like this, and in the kit, there's gonna be an adapter with almost like a screw at the end. Grab that, and grab one of these wool buffing wheels. Now you just wanna screw the adapter into the buffing wheel and screw it down until it's pretty snug. Good, and then slide that buffing wheel and adapter onto the rotary tool and tighten that down. Perfect. Now just get a little bit of compound on your finger and rub it into the lug nut well, and then get your rotary tool starting on slow and start compounding the sidewall here to remove all that staining. If you want, you could speed it up a little bit, but don't go crazy. You don't want to damage the paint underneath, and you don't want to overheat it. It's better to take a little bit extra time and not damage your wheel. Then after buffing out the stain, let's get in here with our microfiber towel and clean it up, and check out these results. Here's a before and after. This came out great. So I'm gonna repeat this process in the rest of the lug nut wells, and the rotary tool is the trick to make this come out so clean. I mean, just take a look at the difference before and after. Now, unfortunately, even after the stains are removed, you can see just from the brake dust sitting there, there is permanent damage at the base of the well. So the fix is to use a wheel touch-up paint pen, and I already wiped this area down with alcohol so that the paint will adhere properly. And now you just squeeze the paint pen and push the tip into the area that you want the paint to come out on. This light silver paint isn't specific for this Ford silver wheel. but it matches almost perfectly to the factory silver. It even has some metallic flake in it, which helps the touch-up paint blend in nicely. So work that paint pen around the entire perimeter and look at the results, before and after. What a difference. Now, as we let these dry, there's one more thing you can do. You don't have to, but you can do it to make your wheel look super glossy. And that is to get some compound on a towel and buff it into the entire wheel. If your wheel has glossy paint like this, when you compound it, you could buff that paint to make it look even glossier and give it a deeper shine. So buff the compound into the entire wheel with medium pressure, and once you do that, fold the towel over to get to a clean part of the towel, and wipe down the wheel to remove any compound residue. That way we have a nice, clean, glossy surface. This will only take a few extra minutes to do and is totally worth it because it makes a big difference. Now, while compounding the wheel, I noticed 2 small chips on the face of the wheel, so let's touch this one up right here. And while this isn't a perfect fix, it does make that damage almost disappear, especially from a few feet away. And I saw another small chip right over here, so let's touch that up. Perfect. Alright, so the front of the wheel is completely cleaned, all the stains have been removed, and now this paintwork is super glossy. Look at that shine, that metallic is standing out so much more now. This looks incredible, and we're not even done yet with the protection step where it's going to add another layer of gloss and also a protective coating. So real quick, let's flip this wheel over. And you can see how stained and discolored this barrel looks, so let's fix that. So get some compound on your rag, and just like the front of the wheel, buff that compound into the paintwork. And not only will it remove the stains, but it's going to give the paint a deeper gloss. Just look at that. Now, there are a decent amount of small paint chips in the barrel, like this right here, so you could touch them up and make them less visible. Plus, this helps prevent future corrosion. Now, is that perfect? No, but once it dries, it'll blend in even more. And also, remember, this is the inside barrel of a wheel. You're not really going to be able to see it very easily. And I just want to remind you guys of what we started with. About 8 years worth of brake dust buildup. So with all the stains removed from the inside of our wheel, that is looking super clean, and all the stains removed from the outside of our wheel, that's also looking super clean, let's move on to our last step. Now, most people would stop right here because these wheels and tires are looking super clean, and this looks awesome, but we're not done. There's one more thing we need to do, and that is protect our wheels with a ceramic detailing spray and protect our tires with tire dressing. So let's start with the tire dressing first. Now, real quick, I do have a very important safety concern when using tire dressings. Tire dressings are very slippery. It's important that you don't get them on any of your brake components. If you do, spray it down with some soapy water and wipe it away to clean it off. Also, if you have a car that you take to the track or a motorcycle, it's very important you do not use tire dressings at all. The sidewall of your tire, specifically this top portion right here, is used for grip in your race cars. When you take turns, this is used. You can see how it's all rough, and you do not want to make that slippery because then you'll lose grip. Same thing with the motorcycle, whether it's on the track or the street, the sidewall is actually used for grip when you're turning. You do not want to slide out by accident because you use tire shine. And I just wanted to real quickly share that with you guys because I thought it was very important. Now, when applying a tire dressing, I prefer using a tire gel over a spray. The gel gives me a lot more accuracy. I could get it just on the tire. I don't have to worry about overspray or getting it on the driveway. And I could control the shine. Do I want it to look less shiny or do I want it to look soaking wet and super glossy? And to apply the tire dressing, what you could use is a foam applicator pad like this, or what I like to use is a microfiber towel folded to the same width as the sidewall. So the trick here is to apply the dressing across the entire width of the towel like that. And then you want to rub the dressing into the towel, that way when we apply it, it goes on evenly. Now, applying this is as simple as running your towel along the sidewall, working that dressing into the tire so that it evenly covers the surface. Now, a spot a lot of people tend to miss with their tire dressing is right between the rim and the tire, this tight gap right here. And that just doesn't look good. So a little trick is to get some tire dressing onto the tire, and then get your brush, and then work your tire dressing into that gap so you don't miss any spots and the gloss is nice and uniform across the entire sidewall. It's all about the attention to detail when you're doing a super clean, and it's going to make your results look that much better. And you could also use that brush to work tire dressing into the sidewall of the tire. Again, the goal is just to not have any dry spots and coat the entire sidewall of the tire. So this is really simple, and I think you understand what needs to get done. Work that dressing into the sidewall around the whole tire so that you have one uniform glossy sidewall and no dry spots. And then once you're done, it's important that you let it soak in for a few minutes so it absorbs into that rubber. So after it soaks, you can see how it's kind of built up over here. That's gonna sling, that's gonna shoot off when the tire spins. So even if you want it super glossy, we have to lightly buff that off. So if you want a wet glossy look, just lightly buff the tire to even it out and remove any dressing built up on the surface. And now you have that dripping wet look. Now, if you want more of a matte finish instead, just buff the tire with more pressure and remove more of that glossy dressing to give it that matte finish. The dressing is still absorbed into the tire and it's still on the surface protecting it, but it doesn't have that same glossy shine, so it depends what kind of finish you want. And so you have a better idea of what each finish looks like. This is the original clean but undressed tire, and here's that matte finish, and then here's that dripping wet gloss finish. So you could do either of those or anything in between. It all depends what you prefer. So I personally like the look in between the two extremes. I don't want it to look matte, but I don't want it to look soaking wet. So I have a slight gloss on here. It makes the tire look new, but you could also tell that it's been taken care of. Not only that, it has a layer of protection on here so UV rays and ozone won't degrade the tire. And now with the tire protected, let's go protect our wheel. And to protect the wheels, we're using a ceramic detailer and a new microfiber towel. So before we add our coating, I like to wipe down the entire wheel with alcohol, and this makes sure the wheel surface is clean. There's no wheel cleaner, there's no tire shine, no compound, or anything like that. It's a clean, bare surface for our ceramic detailer to bond to. Now, a few minutes later, after that alcohol evaporates, spray down the microfiber towel with the detailing spray, and then work that detailer into every nook and cranny in that wheel. And as you're doing this, make sure you don't touch the towel against the tire so you don't get tire shine on your towel. Same thing with the barrel of the wheel. Clean it with alcohol, then spray down your towel with the ceramic detailer, and buff the entire barrel to coat the surface so that it's protected from brake dust and so it comes off easier in the future. Good. And the last thing to do is do something about this center cap. Unfortunately, you can see it's all bubbling up here. There's nothing we could really do besides replace it with a nice new one. These are very inexpensive to buy, so out with the old and in with the new. So let's get this lined up and snap it in place. Good. And then my favorite part, peeling the protective plastic off. And that looks so much better. Just look at how clean this whole thing looks. Unbelievable. The attention to detail is what a super clean is all about. Little details like this really make all the difference. And now we've officially finished our fifth and final step, the protection step. Now this stuff is great, but don't think it's gonna prevent brake dust from getting on your wheels. It's still gonna collect, it's just gonna make it a lot easier to wash off. It's also gonna protect it so the brake dust doesn't embed into the wheels as easily. So now let's go get this installed on our car and see how it looks. But real quick, this is looking old and rusty and dirty, and the same thing with the wheel well liners, they're looking dirty and disgusting, and we could clean that up real quick to make it look that much better because we don't want to put our brand new wheel on here and have that looking bad. Now cleaning your wheel well is actually super quick and easy. First rinse down all the dirt off these plastic liners, then get your soapy water and spray it down, and use your brush to agitate the dirt and work that soapy water in there. Then rinse all that off and dry it with a microfiber towel so that there's no water left over. And finally, we're gonna be using a ceramic trim restorer, so not only are we gonna be bringing back that dark, rich plastic color, but we're also gonna add a layer of protection so the plastic doesn't get as dirty as quickly. So buff the product into the plastic and check it out. Here's a before and after. And this isn't just for looks. Water beads up on the liner now, which makes it so that dirt doesn't stick as easily, and it also makes them easier to clean. So let's do the same thing to the other side. Beautiful. So with the plastic trim cleaned and protected, it is looking great. Now we have one last thing we need to do. So I think you guys know me pretty well by now. I can't keep parts looking old, dirty, and rusty. I have to clean them up, especially since we have these brand new looking, super cleaned wheels going on here. So what I did is I sanded down the suspension components, I hit them with some black spray paint, and then I sanded down the brake caliper and I hit it with some red spray paint. And the red's gonna look really good with this dark gray. Also, red gives you like, what, 10 to 15 more horsepower or something like that? So they look awesome, got some new brakes on there, and check out how good it looks with the super clean wheel installed. What a difference. So now let's finish this up by torquing down the lug nuts in a crisscross pattern. Good. And then we can lift the car up a little, remove the jack stand, and then lower the car to the ground and remove the jack from under the car. And there you go. Those are the 5 steps to super clean your wheels. Look at how amazing these came out. They look brand spanking new. And remember what we had to work with. These wheels were not cleaned for over 2 years. The brake dust was caked up. There were stains everywhere, and now take a look at it. This is a transformation you could be proud of, and it just makes driving your car around that much more enjoyable when you get amazing results like this. Now I added in a real quick step because after you super clean your wheels, you want them to stay clean. So you have to maintain them. You don't have to do a super clean every single time you clean your wheels. You might never have to do this again. So depending on how much you drive and how quickly the brake dust builds up, maybe once a month or so, rinse down the wheel, get your wheel cleaner, spray it down, get your detailing brush into those tight nooks and crannies you can't normally get into. And since it's not a super clean you're keeping the wheel on, they make these things which go in here so you can clean the inside barrel of your wheel without taking it off. Rinse it all down and then finally hit it with a protectant so it stays clean and looking amazing. So there you go, that's how you super clean your wheels and the results speak for themselves. As always, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button, and all the tools and products I used in this video will be linked down in the description so you could easily find them. I'll also put a link to all the other super clean videos, including how to super clean your paint, how to super clean your glass, how to super clean your engine bay, and how to super clean your interior.